Hello guys. So in this video we will be going to discuss how we can learn AWS cloud. So suppose you are a developer or maybe you are in any other domain and you wanted to learn cloud for better performance and better career growth. So how you can achieve that? Okay, so we will going to discuss. So basically you have kind of a 4 or 5 steps to learn AWS cloud. Like any cloud it could be, but I would be mainly focus on AWS only. So first we will start with learning the basics. So in the basics basically we need to first understand like why do we need cloud, like what's the importance of cloud, and then after we will see uh, like the basic AWS services, like, and what are the core components and how it is better than on-premise architecture and or on-premise application hosting. So why people are using AWS. Okay, so first you need to just familiarize with that, and then after maybe you can start with learning the basic AWS services like Lambda, DynamoDB, S3, EC2, RDS. So I would suggest you to spend some of the time, not more than 12 hours, on learning those just very basic fundamental concept around those services. The reason being is once you have a very basic understanding about those services, you will you have keen, or maybe you can say you have interest, then like you will probably rise interest to learn more about AWS. Okay, so and if you spend more than 12 hours on those learning the basic AWS services, then it will be kind of a boring for you. Okay, so I will suggest you to spend near about 12 hours. Okay, then after once you have a basic understanding, basic knowledge around the AWS cloud, then after you can pick any of the AWS project. Okay, so in the next slide maybe we will discuss like what project you can pick. So I have prepared one project idea for you along with the architecture of that application. So we will discuss that. Okay, so you will start with implementation of that project. Then you have a good uh, working experience as well. Okay, so after that maybe I will suggest you to get certified from the AWS. So AWS provides the various certification as well, like for the developers, for the architect, for the data engineer, for a machine learning associate. And if you are in so multiple, if depending on your domain, so it provides you certification. So I will say just start with the entry level certification. Like if you are in developer, maybe start with the first practitioner certificate, then after developer associate, and then after architect associate. Okay, so I will suggest you to get certified, and then after obviously you can you will be going to build a portfolio for you, like where you will be showcasing what projects you have implemented, so that if any of the people just going through your portfolio, they will felt you are a good candidate for them, right? And then after you are almost ready to work on a production application as well. So just start applying the jobs, and jobs, like if you are in college pass out, you can apply internship as well. And that's it, you are ready to fly in the sky. Yeah, and after that obviously continuous learning, like we all know in the IT career this continuous learning is really very important. Okay, so let's now in the next slide, let's see how we can the project idea what we are going to discuss, and you can implement that as well. Okay, so the project idea is around the student learning collaboration platform. So what I have thought is, so it would be an the application where a user can log in from the either the mobile application or maybe from the web application. And basically various student or various candidates who are interested in learning the things, but they felt like it's really hard to learn individually. Okay, if you have a group of like 2 3 student or 2 3 maybe same peering group, like it would really interesting and as well as enthusiastic to learn anything. And if you are kind of practicing for an exam, and if you are doing it alone, like it's very complicated, I must say. And if you are like 2 3% you have, it is just got very interested. Okay, so this platform basically provides a method or opportunity, you can say ki, many of the students can just got registered, and then after they will going to create their own group, like what exam they are preparing for and what are they learning. And then after any other student or other uh, person came, he want to participate in the same group, he can participate. Okay, so what you will going to implement, let's read it first. So first would be user authentication profile. So basically user can log in and sign up on this application, so that can be implemented using Amazon Cognito. uh, no like stay confident. Like if you don't know Amazon Cognito, that is very fine, obviously. That is why you are here. So just it is just that we are going to implement the user registration and kind of authentication, like user can log in, sign up and create user profile. So we will going to first do that. So that is user authentication and profile. Once the user has logged in into the application, we are going to like allow user to create the study group. So either user can like create a study group, and if like if the groups already exist, maybe he or she can participate in that. Okay, so in this basically you will going to learn how you can use the database on AWS. Okay, then after resource sharing, so let us suppose once the study group has been created and you want to share your notes. Okay, so how will you share your notes? So basically you need to upload your study material, either it could be any notes, presentation, articles, videos, audios, anything it could be. And then after you will going to store that into the Amazon S3 bucket, right? So that is just a storage thing, how you can store those things. So that is around the resource sharing. And let us suppose any other user want to download that, so you are going to again serve it from the Amazon S3. So that is resource sharing. After the discussion boards and chat, so maybe let us suppose in a study group the user wanted to chat with each other. Okay, so maybe you can implement the a live chat kind of a WhatsApp like functionality. So you can implement that with the help of Amazon API gateway. So that is something I think. Apart from that, you can implement an discussion board as well. Like Microsoft, I think, although provides an like the whiteboard for discussion, so you can implement like same kind of functionality in your application as well. Okay. After that, we have like collaboratively document editing. So let us suppose like you and your friend are working on a same kind of a document, and like a PPT, let us suppose. Okay, so how you can implement that collaborative document editing? So we can implement that as well, and that can be implemented using Amazon S3 and Lambda. After that, task management. So let us suppose in the group you have created 4 tasks, like which we need to complete by this day for a single day. And let's say for 10 days you wanted to complete a task. So kind of you can show what is the current progress in that task, and like if you have completed or not, what should be completed till now. So that can be implemented with the help of AWS CloudWatch. So you can implement that as well. After that, event scheduling. So let us suppose uh, you want to kind of notify a user that your task expiry date would be today only, and you need to finish it by today. So you can kind of notify the user with the help of this scheduling and SCS or SNS like type of services. So that's the thing. Then after, I think, progress tracking we already discussed in the task management. And then after notification reminder, I think all are very clear. You want to notify, or so event scheduling could be let us suppose you have organized a video call, I think, for 6 o'clock, and you wanted to notify user 15 minutes before that meeting. So maybe you can schedule that event as well. Apart from that, let us suppose an study material has been uploaded by a student, and you want to notify the other members of the group. So you can kind of notify with the help of this event scheduling. Okay, so that is the overall project idea. Now let's see how what will be the application architecture if we implement this on the AWS cloud. Okay, so before showing, I will show you one thing. Like I have divided this application architecture in 3 parts: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Okay, so let's see that. Yeah, so here is the application architecture. So if you see, like I have divided the services in 3 parts. The first one is beginner, second one is intermediate, and third one is advanced. Okay, so what I wanted to say basically from this line, if you have implemented this application from only up to here, okay, so that means you have a good beginner level understanding of the AWS cloud. And if you have implemented this as well, like the notification tracking, all the services, that means basically the intermediate stage. Okay, and once you pass this intermediate stage, obviously you are in the advanced part of this application. So in like there is, okay, so there is never ending like AWS services, I must say. But if you reached out to the here, that basically means now you have a good understanding around the AWS, and now you can thought yourself like what services you should learn. Okay, so let's discuss what is this application architecture is. Okay, so okay, so first start with the application. Okay, so each application has obviously two parts. The first one is front end and second one is back end. Front end, the good UI picture that we see on the on our Chrome browser, and I mean and even other browsers as well. So that is the front end. Okay, second is the back end. Back end is basically how the user is authenticated, like if you are a valid user or not, how, where data is storage, that is in the backend. Each the data is served from the backend as well, like uh, there is an obviously computational logic which pick the data from databases and then after show it to the user. So that is the functionality inside the backend. Okay, so basically each application has two part, front end and backend. Okay, so let's see how we are going to you like host front end. Okay, so your web application or like it could be any app, like so you can host that React application, Angular application, any other application if you have like on the Amazon S3 bucket. Okay, so Amazon S3 bucket basically allows you to store or host any static website. Okay, and once you have host that static website, you will be able to access that, and you can share that URL with the any other users as well, and they will be going to access. But the problem is if the S3 bucket like any user kind of open this S3 bucket URL, that will going to take some of the time. The reason being is uh, the cache is not implemented as of now, like, right? So what we did is we add an layer of cloud front that basically cache for the behaves like a cache for this S3 bucket. Okay, so that is basically for hosting the front end. Okay, so here I have mentioned this as well, like those two blocks are for front end. After that we have API gateway. So let us suppose data is coming from the backend. Okay, so how you would expose those APIs? So that will be done using the API gateway only. Okay, so I know it is not very clear to you, but it is just like a very brief introduction around all the services, like what we are going to do. Okay, then after Cognito, what is Cognito actually? Let us suppose obviously you have done many times login in the many applications, right? You're logged into the Gmail, you try to log in into the Facebook, Instagram, right? So that login functionality, sign up functionality can be easily implemented with the help of this AWS Cognito. Okay, so that is done. Front end API expose and authentication kind of done. Then we have compute layer. Okay, and then we have storage layer. So let's first discuss this storage layer. So storage layer is kind of, in the previous slide we discussed about the creation of study group. So study group basically it will going to have a title, it will going to have what are the group members, like who are the group members, what we will going to study, how many, like what is the like final achievement or final goal you want to have. So that information we need to store somewhere, right? So we can store that information in the DynamoDB. So DynamoDB is basically a NoSQL database kind of, and that is NoSQL serverless database. So serverless is kind of, it could like it provide infinite scaling. So doesn't matter how many groups your application have. If you have one, the DynamoDB going to charge for the one group. If you have 1,000, it will going to charge you for 1,000 groups costing, like for the storage the data. And if you had millions of the billions of the data as well, it is going to charge you according to that. Okay, so that is the like the useful of like powerful service. Apart from that, let us suppose you have user data as well, right? You will be going to have first name, last name, profile, like what user likes to, and what user actually doing, like right now he is pursuing MBA, let us suppose. So that information you wanted to store. Okay, so you can store that in the RDS. So RDS is basically provide you different SQL databases like Postgres, SQL, MySQL, or any other as well, right? So, like obviously you can store those information in a single database, but here we wanted to learn both these technologies, so that's the reason I have kept it like the in the different databases. Okay. Apart from that, let us suppose the user uploaded an file, audio, video, notes, right? So study material basically. So that we need to store inside the S3 bucket. Okay, so S3 bucket is basically a object storage that provided by the AWS. So you can store raw audio files, raw like any nodes, text file, anything. Okay, if you store that inside the DynamoDB or RDS, that would be very costly and very typical for you. So that's AWS S3 bucket can be used. Okay, now suppose a scenario, a user comes on the application and say, please list all the groups that we have. Okay, that is the first requirement of the user. So what we will going to do, we will read the all the groups from the DynamoDB, and then after map it according to the user interest, like user wanted to learn Python only or user wanted to learn AWS. So we will see what groups we have that has a target of AWS learning. Okay, so we will show only those kind of groups to the user. So where we will going to implement, like ask DynamoDB to show where interest area is equal to AWS. Okay, so that computational logic you need to write somewhere. Okay, so that can be implemented either onto the AWS Lambda and either onto the EC2. So both the services allows you to write computational things like the Python programming or any other language as well. The only point is AWS Lambda is serverless, like it will be going to infinite scaling, and EC2 is a kind of like the you can say it is not serverless. Like you need to first decide what will be the overall application uses, and according to that you need to provision the EC2. Okay, let's say you have 100 users you are targeting, so you can like pick a very minimalistic EC2 that has a cost of $9. But obviously if you are targeting for 1 million user or billion user, obviously you need to take a much bigger EC2 machine, right? So that is the importance of computational layer. Storage layer we have already discussed. Okay, so if you have implemented this up to this storage layer, you are obviously passed out from the beginner stage. Okay, after that we have like the intermediate stage. So this intermediate stage is very like a little extension to the application, kind of enhancement to the application. So what we are doing is here, so suppose an scenario you want to notify user for an task, right, as we discussed in the previous slide. So that we need to send an email to the user, or we can send an SMS also. So that we can achieve through this SNS and SCS service. So SNS is kind of simple notification service, and SCS is simple email service. So that we can do this from here. Apart from that, in the previous slide we have discussed like we can kind of implement the progress tracking. So we we would be having metrics for each task, and then we will kind of fill that metrics like this has been targeted 50%, so that we can implement it with the help of CloudWatch. Okay, so that's why it said notification through SNS and SCS, and tracking is with the help of CloudWatch. So that is done, and this is kind of intermediate stage. Once going to the before going to the advanced, I will first discuss this common services. So why I kept it here is like the reason being is doesn't matter you're in the beginner, intermediate and advanced, so you will going to use those services definitely. The reason being is you will reach out in the advanced section, this common services will going to more deeper and deeper. Okay, so IAM roles basically allows you to assign the role. So let us suppose you have a file on the S3 bucket. Okay, and you will be downloading the S3 file first onto this AWS Lambda. Now kind of you want to allow AWS Lambda to access this file. How would you implement that? So you will be going to implement this with the help of IAM rules. Okay, after that, CloudWatch alarm. So let us suppose you have an EC2, right, and as of now it is 90% utilized, which is not good for your production application, right? So you will going to define an CloudWatch alarm. Please notify me once this EC2 CPU consumption or RAM consumption maybe is more than or around greater than 70%. Okay, so this can be implemented through CloudWatch alarms. VPC is again a kind of security thing, so let's not discuss this. The reason being is it is really complicated. And X-ray is a kind of, you want to debug your application, like if any failure in your application occurs and you wanted to see where exactly your application is failing. Okay, so that can be implemented with the help of X-ray. So that's it. And once you have cleared this, I think you are in the intermediate stage. After this, let's see how can we like became more advanced in this application. Okay, so I have named this as application enhancement. So here kind of a six services. So I before discussing these, those are not the six, like only six services AWS have. There are multiple number of services still remaining, but once you have, I think, seen this and implemented up to this stage, obviously you will got to know other services as well. So what is this AWS Chime? So it's basically, let us suppose you want to implement live video conferencing type of feature in your application. So how you can implement that? So this can be implemented with the help of this service. Okay, so that's the uses. After that, let us suppose like what is this elastic cache is. So elastic cache is basically a cache engine provided by the AWS. So let us suppose anytime user logged in, you read the user information from the RDS or maybe DynamoDB, any of the database. So that will going to take, I think, 300 or 400 millisecond. But you want to give user a good experience, okay? Like it should not take 400 millisecond. You thought like that. So what you can do, you can store that information inside the Elastic Cache Redis engine, and every time the user is coming, you will going to read those information from Elastic Cache. If you read this information from here, caching, it would be really very fast in comparison to the databases. Okay, if database is going to take 300 millisecond, it hardly take 30 or 40 millisecond, 50 millisecond, more, not more than it. Okay, so that is kind of if you want to make your application performance better or make the user experience better. So for this purpose, then after we have this event bridge. So event bridge is like a kind of a thing. Let us suppose. Uh, okay, so as your application like becomes more and more complicated, you don't have a single lambda. You will be going to have a hundreds of the lambdas or thousands of the lambdas, maybe point possible, right? Multiple EC2s you could have. You could have like multiple microservices. Okay, so quite possible in some scenarios you want to like communicate from one microservice to another microservice. Okay, so for that purpose, I think you can use SQ service as well, like provided by the AWS. So event bridge would be suppose an scenario and event bridge. Okay, so let us suppose an scenario, a file has been uploaded onto the S3 bucket. Okay, and you want, if a file has been uploaded, you want to notify all the users. Okay, so you will configure an event whenever an file uploaded to this S3 bucket, please run xyz lambda. So this configuration you have done in the event bridge. Okay, and that xyz lambda would be responsible for sending out the notifications. Okay, so that is the use of this event bridge. Then after we have Elasticsearch. So let us suppose you wanted to implement the search functionality in the application, so that user can type any text, and then after it would be searchable from the like the nodes provided by the user. So you can implement with the help of Elasticsearch. Okay, then after we have transcribe. So transcribe is, let us suppose a user has uploaded audio and videos, but any other second user wanted to read those what he has spoken inside that video. Okay, so what you can do, you can implement this transcribe. So this transcribe basically AWS service takes the audio and video and convert it to the text. Okay, extract the text information from those audio and video. That can be useful for transcribe. Then after we have DynamoDB streams. So DynamoDB streams are like, basically this DynamoDB streams are related to this DynamoDB. So anytime a change happen in this DynamoDB entry, so let us suppose you have created a group, and in that group someone has added, any user has been added, or as any user has been removed. Okay, and you want to capture that change. So how would you do that? You will configure DynamoDB streams, and DynamoDB streams will notify you in the row item, in this row item, this change has been made in your in this entry. Okay, so after this, if you have that change, you can maybe decide what you wanted to do. So let us suppose if a user has been removed, you want to notify that user. If a user has been added, you want to notify that user like you have been added, and even the already pre-participant, like those are participant of that group, you can notify them as well, like a new member has been added to the group. Okay, so I hope you like this project idea. I must, if you want me to propose like the same kind of a like more project ideas with you that can be implemented onto the AWS, please let me know in the comment section. Apart from that, if you want me to follow like implementation of this project idea with you, like for maybe you can please suggest me. I will definitely going to like will create a playlist for the same. Okay. uh, if you like this video, please do subscribe to the channel. Thank you.